Well, it helps. Well, a quick return to action against the London Scholars for Halifax this afternoon. Scholars making 5 changes in all to the team, which suffered heavily a 40-0 defeat at the new River Stadium in North London last week. And Anthony Farrell forcing the changes with the loss of both props Chris Birchall and Andy Hobson. Birchall with a niggling groin injury, Andy Hobson with a fracture. Looks like he could be out for about 10 weeks to 3 months. And bad luck for the prop who just returned from Widnes after a storming starting that game at London last week. Halifax end the first set of 6 with a kick deep into Scholars territory, taken by Ashley Tozer, but the defence, as it was last week in London, very quick following the kick up, bringing Tozer down 8 metres away from his own line. Jermaine Coleman, who's dropped to full-back this week, former Halifax Academy player. Toby Hall to the 20. A little bit warmer than it was last week in the capital. As London run the ball out on their first set of 6 with Stu Singleton, the captain, who played at centre last week, moved to loose forward this week. Referee signals the last tackle as Tim G, again another man swapping positions from centre last week to stand off this week, puts the kick in, and there's good pressure on Damien Gibson there, so the Scholars have learnt the lesson. Have they learnt the lesson on Sharif, who scored 3 tries last week in the capital? And number 5 James, number 2 James Ailey helped himself to 2. 7 tries in all for Halifax, 5 scored by the wingers. And here goes Fisher from acting half into London territory. Last tackle again. End-to-end stuff in the opening piece as Ben Black carves open the defence, gets the pass away, but only into the hand of a London Scholars player. Danny Jones had just overrun the pass, but Halifax quick to form in defence. Tackles made almost where the ball's played. Tozer drives into 2 Halifax tacklers. Broncos using Stuart Singleton again as he drives it up to the 40. Brett Blaker takes it up towards halfway, making good inroads into the Halifax defence, but it's the last tackle. And Andrew Goley, the second rower, is forced to put boot to ball. Not a bad kick, but perfect positioning from Haley in the Halifax defence to bring it back. And Gibson goes from acting half. Scholars defence up quickly, but Fisher again making inroads with a quick play from the acting half, and Black runs at the Broncos defence. Good pass from Bulls, and Black is still going, gets it away over the top to Bunyan. Bunyan passes it out, and James Ailey beats the ground in frustration. Knew he should have been there. Well, a try there for Halifax for certain if Ailey had been there. Quick ball from Bunyan, but great play from Ben Black off the pass from Jason Bolts, teasing and taunting the Scholars defence. And Halifax probably deserve 4 points for the way in which they went forward there from the 40-metre line. Bunyan's pass going into touch. That's let off for the London Scholars, and they'll know it. Quick play the ball. And scrum half Gareth Honor there for the Scholars was looking for the tackle count to go back. Referee signalled a knock on. Touch judge has said that it was actually Halifax knock on, so perhaps the scrum half justified in calling for the tackle count to be wiped down. But that is, he'll get the 6 from the scrum. Coleman taking a pass that was about 18 inches above his head, and the referee Philip Benton, in charge of his first senior game, gives the penalty to the London Scholars. And a quick run through their team: Jermaine Coleman at fullback, Joe Price, Brett Blaker, Adi Adaraye, Ashley Tozer, Tim G, Gareth Honor, the backs, Wayne Parallon, Kurt Pittman, Toby Hall, Andrew Gooley, Mike Castle and Stu Singleton are the forwards. Sharif fancied a run down the touchline, gets back to his feet and gets back up head of steam again as he drives the ball towards the Scholars defence over the second time. Scholars failing to find touch with a kick, and Halifax will come back on the counter-attack. The rest of the Scholars team on the bench: Matt Pittman, Nathan Mishke, Alan Baker and Dave Brown. Danny Jones, long pass to Black, cut out ball to Adcroft, and Adcroft slips the ball out the back, but only to the hands of Tim G. The Scholars standoff gratefully accepts the possession. So early mistakes from Halifax, giving the ball away easily there, and when another try looked on there with an overlap on that far side. Scholars back into Halifax half of the field. Toby Hall with a short ball to Andrew Goulet. Good tackling from Ben Fisher. Honor gets to Brett Blaker, one of the three new faces since last week in this backs lineup. Joe Price and Adi Adaraya being the other two. Scrum half gets the kick away. Pressure on, Haley takes it. Chases there again, and it's Wayne Parallon. Last man up from the tackle on the Halifax winger. Halifax over the 20, Andy Spink gets the ball away. Bunyan, big gap opens up for Bunyan as Haley on the inside, attracting the defence, trying to push men off, and then loses the ball in the effort. Halifax really should have been looking at 3 tries already in this game. Less than 10 minutes gone. And Halifax having to contend with the sun in their eyes. It's fairly high above the ground for this afternoon as Parallon drives it forward onto the centre spot. And they continue to the left with Gareth Honor. Had Mike Castle running onto it, being promoted from the bench last week, but a good tackle. The last one made just outside Halifax 40 as G kicks over the top, and that's an awkward bounce, and Gibson does well at the second attempt. He had it in his favour at the second bounce, pushed it towards him, but the first pushed it away. London slowing down the play of the ball, as you would expect. Ben Black moves into acting half, Andy Spink. And Halifax up to now finding this London Scholars team a different proposition from that last week. Here comes Jason Bolts, takes it over halfway, promising showing from the youngster formerly with Bradford last week. Dave Larder goes for the gap. Defence close it up, it's the last tackle. Jones gives it to Wisner. Wisner to Sharif. Sharif back inside to Jones. Jones caught with the ball 5 metres away from the line. Wisner testing the defence, and they hung off long enough to get the pass away. Sharif did it well to get it back inside, but Jones unable to do anything. And Halifax back attempting to keep the London Scholars in their own quarter of the field. Ashley Tozer unable to make much ground. Closely marked by Alan Adcroft. Singleton up the middle. Scholars continue to the left hand side. Good angled run back inside from Toby Hall, the Scholars prop. And edging the way forwards to halfway again, although Halifax managing for the most part to restrict the Scholars to 5 tackles in their own half of the field. Ball bounces up a lot kinder for Gibson this time. He's quick to get it away too. Haley, but Haley's well marked by Ashley Tozer, quickly tackled Gibson from acting half. Gives it to Ben Black. Black stepping once again, teasing the defence, finds Gibson on his outside, and Halifax on the second tackle, almost back up to halfway. And Chris Morley playing for the penalty, asking to deputise at prop, moving up from the back row, but that'll be a knock on. Just a little one there. Referee needed the assistance of the touch judge on the far side. Breaking play will give us time to go through the Halifax team. Damien Gibson at full-back, James Haley, James Bunyan, Alan Hadcroft, Ricky Sharif. Danny Jones continues at standoff in the absence of Dean Lawford, partnering Ben Black, who's at scrum half. Chris Morley, as I've already said, has moved up to prop. Missed the trip to London last week. Ben Fisher, Jason Bolts, the other two front rowers. David Larder, Andy Spink, Pat Wisner, the back three. Scholars on the break with Brett Blaker. Halifax getting back. Wayne Corcoran, Gareth Greenwood, Jody Sharif and Anthony Blackwood on the bench for Halifax, who are looking a little bit shaky at the moment, as Coleman has put Tim G through a huge gap, and London Scholars have managed to do something they couldn't do in 80 minutes last week in the mud at London, and Tim G has opened the score for the London Scholars with a perfect pass from Jermaine Coleman, and Tim G puts the London Scholars in the lead. London Scholars 4, Halifax 0. Well, they've looked a different side for the opening 15 minutes of this match of the London Scholars. They've learnt the lessons from last week. Anthony Farrell wanted Halifax to kick on, but they've not been allowed to at the moment. But they have probably let 3 tries go already of Halifax with simple mistakes. And now find themselves behind to that try from Tim G, but still had a lot of work to do when he got the ball. But it was a perfect pass from Jermaine Coleman, who has a lot of experience at standoff. And it's Tim G converts his own try, and it's a London Scholars 6, Halifax 0. Coleman drives the ball away, and it's certainly spurred the London Scholars into action. As that opening score. Well, Halifax will face tougher opposition in the next few weeks, with visit to Hull KR next week, and Keighley Cougars in this group. And Halifax found it tough against both sides last season, and the defensive qualities that Halifax showed for the full 80 last week seems to have deserted them somewhat in the opening minutes of this game, as London get it up to halfway once again. There were times last week when the London Broncos were struggling to get out of their own 20. Obviously conditions had a big bearing on that, and today there's the field dry. And the London Scholars making the most of it, leading 6 points to 0. Jones to Bunyan, who will try and get the ball away from the line. Followed by Adaria and G. Hadcroft up to the 20. Falling from to the tackle of Singleton. Trying to claim for the penalty. Bunyan taking it away, but it's the Scholars that are showing the defensive steel so far in this match. As Spink drives it up almost to the 40-metre line. But tacklers there again in numbers for the Scholars. Jones. Kick down the middle. Coleman knocked back for the Broncos. The winger Joe Price is forced to bring it out from behind his own line, and the chase from Halifax is good as Price is brought down a metre away from under the London post, And the London players still coming back. This is allowing Halifax the numerical advantage in defence, and they're moving in very quickly to make the tackle. And 3 tackles gone. Scholars only just over the 10-metre line, and that looked like a forward pass. Shouts from the Halifax support, and it certainly looked like it from up here. The referee allows the play to go on. Number 8, Wayne Parallon, caught on the 5th tackle. There's far better defence from Halifax as G hoofs the ball down towards Gibson. Halifax playing with a bit of a wind towards the back. Gibson shows the dummy, then goes round the outside, gets it away to Ben Black, and Black's off again, teasing that Scholars defence, leaving him for dead. Now he has men in support. Will the pass be good this time? Well, it was initially from Black, but the second one wasn't, and the ball has travelled forward, so the London Scholars will get possession. And 4 times now Halifax have threatened down that right hand side, and Ben Black causing all sorts of mayhem, but once again the final pass is not the best, and the ball goes to ground, and Halifax squander another glorious opportunity of 4 points. So now the work has to be done in defence again, as Adaria takes the ball up. Centre partner Brett Blaker helping out the forwards. The Broncos making 10 metres on the 3rd tackle. Halifax not moving up as quickly as they did last season, but that's a great tackle from Larder. Man and ball, needed assistance, not much from Bolts. And Halifax need a little more of that as Andrew Goulet, it's a solid wall once again. Scholars are kept in their own half and forced to kick on the last tackle. That one picked out of there once again by Gibson. This time the chasers are there. Gibson throws the dummy, but that was a high tackle on the full back. And so Wisner a chance to relieve the pressure somewhat as he deposits the ball into touch on the halfway line. And Jason Bolts will drive the ball up and take it 10 metres into the London half. Almost 20 minutes gone. London Scholars leading 6 points to 0. Halifax squandering the chances. Wisner comes back to the left. Bolts again driving the ball up into the London defence, pumping the legs and dragging himself up to the 20-metre line. Here goes Fisher from acting half. That's good play. Turns the ball back inside, but it's gone the wrong way. Well, there seems to be a lack of alertness on the part of the supporting players for Halifax. And a couple of times Ben Fisher and Ben Black have exposed the Scholars at acting half. Singleton from the back of the scrum. Joe Price takes the ball over the 20. Tackle made by Bunyan, but London keep the ball moving. Parallon, the big prop up the middle. Number 14, Matt Pittman on for the London Scholars as Gareth Honor drives the ball up to halfway. London used the short side with Brett Blaker, who's caught 5 metres inside the Halifax half. I think that's the first time that Scholars have managed to take the ball into the Halifax half as Coleman kicks through on the floor, and Fisher, I think it was, who went down bravely as Coleman wanted to carry on with a kick through. It is Fisher that gets up with the ball. Good idea from Coleman, well spotted from Halifax hooker. Fisher went down as Coleman almost got a second snap with the boot. Jason Bolts will once again drive it up, and he's met by 4 Scholars defenders. Morley bounces off one and gets the ball away to Jones. Jones steps one, gets it to Larder, but Larder's closely marked by Blaker and thrown to the ground. Bolt's looking for work, driving the ball up. Wisner looks for the gap, gets it away. Chances here, Gibson brought down by opposite number Coleman. Looks for the quick play, the ball. Ben Black out wide. Andy Spink, will he get over? Has he got the ball down? He has. Looked as though he might have juggled it and almost lost it. Managed to spin round and face himself in the right direction. Had 3 defenders round him. Managed to get the ball down. And Halifax finally get the ball down. I think that's the 5th attempt on that far side where the defences look frail. But Wisner's break opening up the London defence. And Halifax finally get the rewards for the persistence down that right hand side. Andy Spink with the first 4-pointer for Halifax. London Scholars 6, Halifax 4. Danny Jones, who missed 1 from 7 attempts last week, will look to level the scores up and hopefully give Halifax the spur they need to kick them into action. And Jones missed the target, so London Scholars keep the lead, but it has been narrowed to 2.
Halifax 4, London Scholars 6.
Well, certainly looked more fluent in the mud at London last week, did Halifax. Although they may have had a few more tries, but for handling errors in that match, and that's certainly the case so far this afternoon against the London Scholars. Black underneath it, Spink running, Black decides not to use him and fancies a run on his own, and he's brought down on the 20 by 3 defenders. Haley waits at acting half. He will take the ball up, and there looked to be a high shot there on the Halifax winger. Larder into Singleton. Singleton trying to reap the ball out there, and then saw that there was Matt Pittman had his hand in, so thought the better of it. Jones to Spink, once again turning round. 3 defenders there again. Wisner to Larder, just unable to stand on his feet, but he got up and got it away to Adcroft. Adcroft shows the dummy, gets Halifax into the 20, but it's the last tackle. And Halifax have the penalty. Well, I think they may go for the 4 here. A chance to push yourself towards that London Scholars line from close range. They've managed to do it from distance. Morley charging onto the ball and to within 5 or 6 metres. Quick ball away from acting half. Great pass, and it's Bunyan that runs on and through a defence which 2 hands snapped but couldn't stop him. Nobody putting the body on the line there to stop the Halifax centre at full pace, running the angle back on the inside, and Halifax taking the right option, and Bunyan going over from close range, very powerful, not a hand on him, and Halifax have taken the lead. 2 very quick tries, and the lead doubled with James Bunyan's try. London Scholars 6, Halifax 8. And a much simpler conversion for Danny Jones.
Number 6.
Moves Halifax
Jones.
into double figures.
10. London Scholars 6.
About 27 minutes gone in the first half.
Halifax substitution, supported by Mortgage Search UK, replacing number 10, Jason Bolts. Number
Jason
16,
Bolts has gone off to be replaced by Jody Sharif. Andy Spinks is under the kick-off. And the London Scholars struggling to get him down there, and here's Sharif with his first touch. Dave Larder falls to the tackle. London Scholars moving up quickly. Jones out to Ben Black. Black goes for the 40-20, but the ball drifts back inside. But it's going to hold up just on the in-goal area. Coleman will have to play the ball out. Uses the post to his advantage. Tried to throw Jones one way, but there was reinforcements turning up on the right-hand side. And Coleman is put down behind his own line, and in fact it's probably turned out better than a 40-20 as this, because the Scholars will be forced to drop out under the post, and Halifax will get the ball. Another opportunity to attack that Halifax line. It's come out to the 40-metre line. Larder will run it back. Fisher to Jody Sharif. And London are caught offside. Halifax will probably opt to run the ball again, and they do with Wisner. The quick tap to Jones. Black went on the inside, and Jones continued. Ball away from Jones, and Bunyan gets it to Haley. Haley keeps it, ball alive to Jones. Looks as though Bunyan might be on his way to his second there, as Fisher once again tries to go round the outside and throw the ball away. Referee has signalled a play on there. Well, strange decision, I think. Larder gets it back to Wisner. London men streaming across the field. Adcroft trying to take advantage with the numbers, but the Scholars have got across to with a scrambling defence to even it up. Black to Morley. Morley's brought down 6 metres away. Halifax have men queued up on the right hand side, and that's where they go. Black to Spink. Spink gets it back to Black. Bunyan out to Haley. Try time for James Haley once again. That left hand London Scholars defence has opened up. And Halifax have 3 tries on that far side of the field, where they probably could have had 7 by now. But credit to the Scholars defence initially as they moved across to this side to cut down the option with Wisner and Adcroft, but they drew too many men across. Ball quickly moved across to the other side of the field, and although Halifax were fortunate, I think a London hand had knocked the ball on and given the possession back. Kept the ball moving to the right hand side, and James Haley, his 3rd try of the season, and extends the Halifax lead. Halifax 14, London Scholars 8, and left Danny Jones another difficult kick on that far side. So Danny Jones from that far touch line again. Missed with that one. Kicking for fun last week. After a first miss was Danny Jones, but struggling to find the target this afternoon. But Halifax finally putting some daylight for the moment between themselves and the London Scholars. Once again, Ben Fisher fires the ball out. Halifax slow to respond, but a London Scholars hand putting it down. And Halifax regained possession. He came up with another 4-pointer, the third of the afternoon for Halifax. Here's Haley, the man that scored the try. Gibson moves into acting half. Tries to relieve the pressure somewhat with a good 10 metres away from the acting half position. Fisher takes it up to the 40, and there's all sorts of messing about going on at the play of the ball. And quite rightly, the referee, Phil Bentham from Warrington, talking to Stuart Singleton, the London Scholars captain, in that London have now taken to trying to slow the game down. A couple of times they've been exposed by the quick play of the ball. Gibson showing it there. Black and Fisher have also done the same thing as Jones steps away. 3-1 for Halifax. Gibson decides to go the other way and runs into trouble and loses a bit of ground in the process. 2 metres inside the London half. And that will be another penalty to Halifax. And London Broncos down to 12 men with Matt Pittman into the sin bin for 10 minutes. Well, they were down to 11 men at one stage of the second half last week with the London Broncos. The referee did warn them. Well, they've no real excuses as Morley, well, not really running at full speed when he took that pass. Larder out to Sharif. Try time again for Halifax. Good ball from Larder, missing out Adcroft. Sharif increases his tally for the season to 4.
Sponsored by Morgan Search UK, number 5, Ricky Sharif.
And after what seemed like a slow start against a different London Scholar side with a different attitude from last week, it seems that Halifax have finally found their rhythm. London, of course, down to 12 men. And for all their efforts in the first 20 minutes, it's really a big ask for the National League 2 side to maintain that sort of game for 80 minutes. It seems Halifax have let them have the glory now. And 4 tries, just 1 conversion for Danny Jones. But 18 points to 6. It looks a lot healthier than it did 15 minutes ago. Danny Jones once again fails with a kick, drifts to the left hand side. So not a good afternoon for the standoff.
18, London Scholars 6.
So it remains at Halifax 18, London Scholars 6. I don't think there's any doubt that Halifax would eventually stamp their authority on this game after 4 tries went begging in the first 20 minutes, and the Scholars really with their try, that's the only major threat that they've been in the first half. Nilled last week by Halifax, the first time Halifax have nilled a team in 6 years. The last time they did that was against Leeds, 42 points to 0. On the last match of the regular Super League season. And the referee penalised the man. He's talking to the captain again. Well, what is he going to say? I'm going to give you another yellow card. And although he's not playing, Andy Hobson and Damien Gibson, both survivors from that glorious in 1998 against the Leeds Rhinos. Halifax went on, I think, to lose the Leeds in the first round of the playoffs. Wisner gives it to Hadcroft. Gibson steps. Well, Halifax doing the running and then losing the ground when the pass goes backwards. Sharif off Fisher, tackled by Alan Baker, another one of the Scholars substitutes, as Larder takes it over the 20-metre line. Halifax still with that man advantage. Jones out to Blackwood, who's on for Halifax. Blackwood showing his pace and his strength and then giving the ball away. Referee signalling a knock on. But which way? Indicating that the London Scholars team knocked it on first and that Halifax should get 6 more tackles. Well, last time they did that, they gave Halifax the benefit of the doubt, put the tackle count back to 0 and Halifax scored. This time he's calling the scrum. But all the same, Halifax still have 6 tackles if they can make it count as Gibson joins into the line from full back. The ball back inside, Sharif unable to keep hold of it, and Coleman caught by Black. Halifax being a bit too fancy again near the line. The Scholars spoiling the story so far. They've done that 4 or 5 times now where they've gone in and intercepted the pass. As Alan Baker drives the ball forward for the Scholars. And Jody Sharif almost a flop on the Scholars captain Singleton there, but Halifax have been pulled for the offside on halfway. And time almost up in the first half as the acrobatics of Ricky Sharif just fails to keep that ball in play. And potentially the last 6 tackles of the first half belong to the London Scholars attacking the Halifax line, but Halifax will be looking to keep them out as Andrew Golay is tackled 5 metres away from the line. To the shadows of the post, scrum half Gareth Honor goes for the honours, and he's put down a metre away. Andrew Golay from acting half, trying to stretch out, but Halifax holding firm just inches away from their own try line. Scrum half, long cut out pass to Nathan Mieske. Mieske loses the ball, but the referee said it went backwards. It's on the last tackle. There's a 4-2 on that far side for the London Scholars as G kicks through the deep in goal touch area, but the ball will travel dead from G. Halifax look for the quick counter with Black, who gets it away to Fisher. Fisher down on one knee is able to get up and continue to halfway, then get up and continue again. Still escaping the clutches is Fisher. Gets the ball away to Black. Black gets it out, and there's a try on here surely for Anthony Blackwood on that far side. Halifax taking advantage of the 12 men and the quick play of the ball, but Fisher did most of the damage there. Looked like he was tackled at least 3 occasions, but his determination kept him going. The support was there from Ben Black, and Black out to Blackwood, who still had to score the try and did so, obliged with another 4 points right before half time. It's Halifax 22, London Scholars 6. So 5 tries, and the score only kept down to 22 by Danny Jones's inability to hit the target with any regularity. Just 1 goal for the standoff. Well, I thought the half was going to end with London attacking, and it's ended up with Halifax posting another 4 through Anthony Blackwood and the determination of the hooker Ben Fisher. And Danny Jones has found the mark
And converting the try, sponsored by the Moorcocky, number 6.
And Danny Jones manages his second conversion right on the hooter for half time. 5 tries for Halifax and 2 conversions. After a shaky start, London Scholars opening their account with a try from the standoff G, perfect pass from Coleman, and then G converting his own try. Halifax then, after really bombing 4 efforts, started to score with regularity. Tries from Spink, Bunyan, Haley, Sharif and Blackwood on half time. 2 conversions from Joan. It looks like London Scholars are in for a tough second 40 minutes of this game. Halifax lead the field at the it's Halifax 24, London Scholars 6.